Hey everyone, I'm Anthony Gethers.
And I'm Greg Weiss.
And we are good dudes with bad hearts.
No, literally. Our hearts are broken.
I have heart failure.
And I have a transplant.
We never thought we'd have heart problems.
But we do.
And they're real.
And they suck. And that's why we're here.
To talk to you about heart failure,
heart attacks, and everything that comes with these conditions.
Each week we will bring you an episode featuring guests with heart issues.
We're talking about doctors and health professionals.
And we're talking about everyday people.
Like you and I. Together, we'll share useful information.
Providing useful lifestyle tips.
And how to prepare heart-healthy meals.
We'll tell our stories and hopefully make your hearts
better.
Welcome to Change of Heart.
Hey everybody, I am Anthony Gethers, and I'm here with my
co-host, Greg Weiss.
That's right. And today we have a very special guest today. We have the mother of my co-host, Elaine Silvers Weiss, and she's here to talk about her heart valve replacement. So let's go into that. Let's just jump right in. So where did it all start?
I woke up this morning with my heart beating that my partner said to me, I could see your heart beating. That's how out of my chest it was. And I called the doctor. They said, come right in. They listened to my heart, sent me to the emergency room, and I was there for 5 days, doing all kinds of tests. It was a local hospital where they did not do heart surgery, and then the cardiologist sent me to a center where surgery was commonly done.
Okay.
And when I got there, they were hoping to do a repair, a valve repair. But it turned out that it was necessary to do a total and complete heart replacement, valve replacement.
Got it. Now, I'm going to ask this to Greg. What's the difference between a valve repair versus a valve replacement? Because obviously that's something I'm curious to know.
A valve replacement is a much simpler, less complicated procedure. It's done to decide the amount of time that you spend in the hospital is greatly reduced from the whole the replacement. The repair is the simple thing, and they try to do it, but if they can't, they have to do the total replacement, which means cracking your chest.
Cracking you open. Gotta split you down.
You open.
Okay.
That's a common theme on this show is crack you open.
Cracking you open. So
and you just don't want to be crackers when you come back in.
So now is the replacement kind of like changing a spark plug?
I'm sorry?
Is the replacement kind of like changing a spark plug in the car where you kind of...
I think a spark plug might be easier. Although I've never tried it.
Yeah, no, it's what makes part of this story unique is that when my mom had her valve incident, I was already in the hospital for about 3 weeks with heart attacks number 4 and 5 on my heart, my first heart, and I was getting treatment awaiting surgery for a heart pump. And I was getting treated in a New York City hospital. And my mom had been admitted into a hospital across the bridge in New Jersey. And we were talking on the phone about our heart surgeries pending. And I don't know how many mother-son dual heart experiences there are, but I'm claiming this as a first. And my brother, my mom's other son, was shuttling back and forth, sending messages of love, bringing me food, sitting bedside, keeping both of us calm.
Wow.
While we both had to have life-saving surgeries. And I wanted to capture what this moment meant to both of us, not only on this show, but just it's something that we share because we both had positive outcomes from it.
Now I'm gonna talk to Elaine here. I'm sure back in the day when you first had Greg and you were holding him up in the hospital, you weren't saying to yourself, in 50 years, we're going to be sharing, having conversations about our heart surgeries. I didn't think you were going through that many years ago.
Never thought about it. No, it always just bright future and all good things for him. Not this.
Okay.
But sometimes out of something so negative, something very positive happens.
That's
and
true.
if this is a help to people, it will be worth everything.
Okay. Actually, you're absolutely correct. And that's kind of our goal with this show, is to put the word out there so that people get the message. One thing that we're trying to promote really is as a heart awareness, basically going out there and getting your EF numbers checked, not just doing your annual your blood work or anything of that nature, or your physical, but to literally check your numbers. My situation was pretty unique in that sense as well. So now I tell people, check your EF numbers. Don't just go for a physical and then look at that.
Well, if I can jump in, one of the things I just wanted to ask as we go forward is, how were you feeling a week before? How were you feeling a month before? Because now that you have the chance to reflect upon it, it's one of the purposes of this show is it's not that you don't know, maybe you do know, and maybe you feel yourself running down. So if there's anything you want to expand upon that, we'd love to hear something like that.
Absolutely. I would say 2 years before, I had warning signs that I did not listen to. We were in Lake Tahoe, where the altitude is very high.
Wow.
And my partner, who had heart issues, walked out. He was fine. And I walked out into the fresh air. I couldn't walk for 2 minutes.
Wow.
So that was like something that the bell should have gone off. I came home. I didn't think anything about it.
Okay.
A few months later, I had an incident. I was walking up a hill, and in the middle of walking, which I always walked, I went to the gym, I exercised. I was so short of breath.
Wow.
But that was the one incident.
Okay.
So until that morning in November of 2019, that I just knew that I couldn't go on. I had to go to the doctor. But thinking back, there were these warning signs that I did not pay attention to.
Okay.
Well, the other question I'm going to have is,
so in that particular case,
if I had to ask, how many doctors do you actually know?
I know so many doctors in the hospital.
I know it's a loaded question.
Not only did I know them, but they're like, some of them are like family, friends.
Right. And yet this comes on, and it doesn't matter that 50, 60 doctors. Now is this occurrence, and to have that ability to get help and treatment is truly a blessing. That you actually did it on your own, the same way Anthony did.
Oh yeah, I had no choice in the matter. Take care of it.
But neither did she. So,
but the thing is, I think part of the purpose of what you're doing here is for people to listen to every signal that comes up. I remember, Greg, one of the doctors, when you were being treated during the heart transplant, said to you, the worst thing you could do is think that it's a bother when you reach out and ask a question or call in because you want to be seen. Just take that out of the mix. It's the most important thing you could do, and you make his job easy by sometimes being the best.
Yeah,
But
no, you're correct.
Yep.
I remember being there when he said it, and even then trying to make an excuse for why I wasn't there. So,
what excuse did you make when you?
The doctor. This was while I was in my first year of transplant, and you have to go for biopsies. You have 18 in 1 year, and I was at a point where it was once every 4 weeks. And it was in between that time that I wasn't feeling well. And I ended up going back for my biopsy when they told me I was having a rejection of my new heart.
Okay.
And ended up back in, and the doctor was sitting there. And it was actually at a time when my mom was visiting me. And he said to me, you should have been here 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, but I wasn't really scheduled for 2 weeks ago. He goes, yeah. He goes, but that's when your problem started. And I'm like, I'm here now. And he's like, yeah, wonderful, you're here now. And we got to treat you. Well, I'm not going to quote exactly what he said. I'll save that for another episode. But
just a month ago.
Yeah, basically the summary of it was, he goes, I don't like you. And I'm going, what do you mean you don't like me? He goes, you made me work an extra hour today to help fix your problem.
Wow.
And I'm going, oh God, help me.
Wow. So Elaine, let me ask you this: how long was your recovery after the surgery?
They did the surgery like December 19th. I was in the hospital for about 8 days.
Okay.
It wasn't a big complication, but there are so many things that they monitor, and it was like oxygen level that I didn't get home for Christmas holiday.
Oh, wow.
But I think I got home like on the 26th or 27th of December.
Okay.
The doctor wanted me to see him at his office for a follow-up, and it was December 31st. And when I went, he said, oh my God, everything's great. I said, well, friends invited us out for dinner tonight to celebrate 2 years.
Okay.
Do you think I could go? And he said, are you kidding? Go. My friends still talk about this, that I was like the poster girl for heart surgery.
Oh, wow.
There I was 2 years celebrating, drinking, and just grateful and happy to be alive, and also to have Greg well in the hospital where he was. So it was very nice year.
It one of the most trying times being a hospital patient is when you're in during a holiday. And I can definitely tell you I've been in a hospital for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, for New Year's. I'll include Hanukkah. And it's one of the times that you're just truly left alone in a hospital bed. Weekends are bad enough. But to know that the rest of the world around you is celebrating, a holiday, it definitely can try your patience and your resolve to not only get better but get out. And that's part of what this change of heart is that you're so thankful that you hit a brick wall and that somebody peeled you off it, fixed you, and now you can get over and around that wall under your own strength. You know, I mean, I went through my recovery, and one of the things I'm going to ask my mom is, what changed about your lifestyle? What changed about your eating? What changed about, you know, your exercise that brought you back to feeling more normal?
I think you become very conscious about things that everybody tells you about being healthy, and you watch your food. The best thing that I did after, I read in the newspaper an article written by a woman that had had heart surgery a few months before.
Okay.
And she said the thing that was life changing was going for cardiac rehab. And so
Wow.
that was something where maybe when you start, you don't really want to go be there, you're nervous. It was the best thing I ever did.
Wow.
And the 36 sessions, you're monitored. You have all of these positive people around you, encouraging you, and encouraging you to push,
Okay.
to be who you are.
Okay.
And it really put me back on like the right path for the rest of my life.
Awesome. Let me ask you a question in reference, because you mentioned the food in your diet. Was there anything in particular that you might have said, okay, you made some changes to your diet? Was there anything that you decided that you were saying to yourself, man, this really sucks, but I have to do it? Like, you know, just the whole, like I know I've always ate pretty well anyway, but did you realize, was there anything you had to sacrifice to get yourself back into good health?
I basically ate a healthy diet most of
Okay.
my
My mom always ate a healthy diet.
But
You always ate a healthy diet.
thank you. But remember, I always said eat your greens.
Yes. Well, what I was telling Anthony before we started was that you were the first advocate of any sugar substitute that ever hit the market. That there was always some new modern sweetener that had always been invented that ended up on our kitchen table. Even though we were fans of good old hard sugar, there was liquid this and there was powder that, and it always ended up on a grapefruit. Now you have to understand, none of us liked it, but we all knew our mom was looking out for our greater good.
Awesome. Now, what do you do now for your regimen at this point? Like, what's your lifestyle like today in 2023? Like, what are you doing? Are you going for walks? Are you in the gym more often? Like,
It's very hard to walk here in Florida because it is so hot that it's really dangerous to go walking over the summer months. So I've gotten into aquaside, which is amazing. It's all the benefits of walking, running, cardiac, strength building, without any of the downside. So I do that 2 or 3 hours a week over different days, and I'm so invigorated again. And I'm hoping to get back in again. I haven't been doing as much of that because the exercise is so satisfying, but I'm going to start doing that too.
Another way of saying that, if you're on a suicide mission in Florida, just go for a walk.
Oh.
And there are people that don't come out.
Yeah.
Like they say, mad dogs in English and do not go in the midday sun.
Yep, just go for a walk, and everything is done.
Wow. I hear the stories about hot and humid, and like we have days like that up here. And one of the things about being a recovering heart patient is you really got to be aware of your environment, of your surroundings, because the humidity will cut your breath off just from the water content in the air can make you
Right.
breathe heavy.
And drinking water, drinking liquid, really important. You
Yes.
don't want to get dehydrated.
Yep, that is true. So speaking of hydration, how often when you had your replacement, did the doctors put you on a minimum amount of water to have per day? 'Cause I know that went for me when I went in for my heart failure.
That is memorable. It's one of the things, like when I think about the first minute where you become awake, all I wanted was water. And they
Okay.
give you or put an ice cube in your mouth.
Yeah, chew on an ice cube.
Mm.
It went on for like 3 days until I was crazed. But there are reasons for it. But yet it's one of the things that stuck in my head.
Okay.
Another thing, it's the one question I asked before the surgery when I was told that there was a possibility of total replacement of the cracking the chest. I
Yes.
said, how do you deal with pain
Mhm.
from this cracking up? And
Cracking you like a peanut.
the most amazing thing is that most people never complain about pain. It's manageable. And I will tell you that during the whole process, that was never an issue. And hopefully that will put people's minds at rest. That
Okay.
it's very rare that somebody can tolerate or complain about much discomfort.
Okay.
I can attest to that twice. So
Is there an expiration date on the heart replacement valve? I mean, I know that Gray mentioned with
I think they said like
reason
it's
to
different for everyone, but mine was like 15 or 20 years.
Okay. So 15 to 20. So 15 to 20 years, you can literally you're like a Tesla.
like a Tesla.
You know what? I feel that way. And what I've been seeing over the years, the difference in the development of what they've done to make this whole process easier. I'm sure in 15 or 20 years, there'll be something that will make it easier to even have a replacement, or that they'll have little tweaks that they could do. And
Right.
and that would a neighbor was walking by a
Okay.
given the things that they can do, that it would
Okay.
not be the same amount of extreme measures
Got it.
to do a replacement.
Let me ask you this: when you go out to a restaurant, do you pay attention to what's on the menu as far as sodium content or anything of that nature?
I would say that there are times that I don't pay attention. If we go to a steakhouse, I will enjoy the steak.
Okay.
But in general, where we used to eat a lot of meat, or we'll substitute fish, salad, chicken, there's definite change.
Okay. So you don't pay attention to the idea of steak. I mean, you order what you want for the most part,
But
you also eat relatively.
If I can
healthy.
interject, it's definitely an issue of moderation, because you definitely want to lead 80 to 90% of the time away from that restaurant event to pay it forward, in the sense that you want to keep your diet on the straight and narrow, because you know at that event that you can let it all go and have that steak and the cream spinach and the
Right.
potatoes.
When you're
And
with a guy from New Jersey who all he talks about is how great the hot dogs are and how many great hot dog places there are. Well,
Wow.
we indulge occasionally.
Okay. Well,
That's the truth.
it sounds like as long as you're not doing them, look, as much as we all love cigarettes, in the Hebrew National, you can't have those. You can't have them every day. Like you're not gonna.
No.
Yeah.
In moderation, Anthony, like you
Yes.
said, in moderation.
Now, are you a fan of ice cream?
A fan
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
That's more her partner.
that
Yeah.
Are you a fan of ice cream?
Yes.
oh, ice cream.
Yes.
Yes. But what I try to do is buy the milk fat or the yogurt and very controlled use of it. Small amount.
Okay.
Like I said, sugar substitutes, low calories.
Low
Not,
calories.
not so much the sugar that I want, just the fat. But there are things in life that you want, that you enjoy.
Don't give up on.
I don't think you should give up everything.
Sugar and fat are all good. They're all good. They taste good. They're not good for you, but they taste good.
Well, I'm just going to attest that when I believe it was after my transplant, and my mother was visiting me, she had brought me the most unbelievable chicken salad sandwich from a high-end deli in Maywood. And it was the one thing I looked forward to, because hospital food stinks.
Hospital food.
And it's just they always say the worse the food, the better the hospital. But in my case, in my case, and when we talk to another guest, he's going to talk about it also, is it's kind of like being incarcerated, in the sense that you become reliant on your loved ones and your caretakers bringing in objects for you to eat. And in my case, it was protein shakes. But when my mom showed with that chicken salad sandwich, oh my God, it was. You look forward to it. I mean, I know it's my mom, and I love my mom, and everything she's ever done for me, I could never thank her enough or repay her. But just to have that good food was just, it's over the top, and it makes you literally, like I said before, makes you want to go around that wall and over the wall any way you can. And I know we're interviewing her, and
yes.
But she's a big part of my inspiration, and that when she had to go through her event with a heart valve, that I really thought her story would be great for the episodes we're doing. Nice. I'm just going to compare it to what happened to my father, her husband, and how he went through a quintuple bypass.
Whoa!
And that was in the late 90s. And what's that? Oh, he had a valve replacement too. Oh, there you go. I had a whole heart, but he was done in a hospital in New Jersey, and his doctor was about to release a line of frozen foods. And we had seen him after the operation, and we're sitting, the three of us are sitting in the office, and he goes, I know what you're going to ask me. What should I eat? And he was telling us about how he's done this 20, 30,000 times, and that he finally had to start making a line of food so he didn't have to tell people what to eat. And it's a whole part of the heart recovery is what do you do afterwards? It's something that you found out you're sick. It's something that you found out you're going to get getting treated. But to pick up, and like our logo shows, with the elevation and the decline, it has to be a downhill slope that you recover and not work uphill again. It's very important that you stick to what your new lifestyle is. Yes. And I'm glad my mom stuck to it. I know she's in my case a role model for all things. So
That's cool. You're such a good son.
Well, I have a good mom.
Anthony is.
I have a good mom. And to hear her story while I was in the hospital waiting for my own heart surgery was just it's a lot to take.
Yeah.
It's a lot to absorb.
Not the easiest thing.
Hey, let me ask you this. I'm sorry to interrupt you just a second.
Go for it.
As a mother, because here you are in the hospital as well, and you're in the process of getting your heart repaired, not repaired, but the valve replaced. How did you feel emotionally knowing that your son was going through a similar situation, if not worse?
I was more worried about him than myself.
Okay. Got it.
And I felt the same way. I was more worried about her than me.
And
Okay.
that was my first question when I came out of the anesthesia.
Okay. So you were.
And
So you were.
good news. I had good news.
So you both were more worried about each other.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
It's a very strange mindset. Because I got wires coming and going out of me. I'm sure she did too. And the last thing we were ever going to consider was a video call. So, it was more like telling my brother to take the message to my mother at that point, even though we were talking on the phone for a little while. You're so out of it and in another state of mind that you don't really focus on yourself, which in some ways is a positive, but in other ways, what are you going to do? But you feel helpless.
Yep. Wow. So, was there ever a moment you felt helpless, Elaine?
No, I would say not.
Okay.
I mean, my friends call me Pollyanna.
Okay.
I always see a good outcome. I always see the sunny side,
Okay.
to the point that they think it's ridiculous. But
Okay.
I think that's the way I handle this, because
Okay.
it's also an example to your children of how to handle adversity in life. When it happens, you go, you do, you get it done, and you go on.
Okay. So you would agree absolutely that a positive attitude is something that really takes you to the next level and saving you with dealing with heart disease.
I would say it has so much to do with your recovery, that when you have a positive attitude, everything turns around and gets better.
Okay. Awesome.
Faith
Greg,
is
you
key.
want to add on to that?
Well, without getting a tear in my eye, faith was the one thing that kept me going, knowing that my family and my friends had my best outcomes on their minds. And from when I was working, one of my closest friends that I worked with, when I told him I was sick, he began calling my name and praying for me in his prayer group. And these are ex-military, combat people, and just repeating what he told me to say and staying focused. And they're praying for me and my family and my doctors by name. It was one of the things that really brought me through a very dark place when you look at the procedures I had to go through, and eventually getting cracked open twice. Faith is it. I'm not going to mention the fact that my blood is B positive.
There
So
you go.
I really didn't.
There you go again. This network cracked open.
Yeah,
There you go.
cracked open. Yeah,
There
you have no choice. It's where you go, and at the end of the day, they got to close you up, and you got to heal, and you got to move on. But if you don't have a positive outcome and you don't have faith, you're not going to have a positive outcome.
That's true. That's absolutely.
It's very easy to turn on yourself thinking you're not going to be able to recover.
Wow.
So
and that actually does have a lot to do with it. Like, look, my situation was similar. Thank God to have faith. If you didn't have faith in a positive attitude. Look, I'm not trying to step on everyone's toes, but faith in a positive attitude does make life, or at least make the transition much easier to deal with in that sense. And again, it's not a matter of so I'm sorry, Greg. Go ahead. We want to jump.
No. What I was going to say was it's a big club, and you're all part of it. So
yeah, it's true.
Well,
we're not in the George Carlin. We're not. For us, it's actually the opposite of the George.
It is the opposite. That's what I'm saying. Is that heart disease is slowly becoming a more aware subject, since it's literally the number one killer of people in the United States, and more awareness, but the varying problems and treatments are becoming more aware in this media conscious culture. We're gonna close this up.
Mm-hmm.
Want to thank you again for taking the time,
Weiss,
telling your story,
giving us really good insight. What would you say to anyone out there who feels a slight bit off? Like, what would you recommend to anyone who thinks they might have something going wrong with their heart?
Get it taken care of, get it checked out. If it's nothing, that's the best. And if it's something, it's the best that you went for help.
There it is.
Okay, so it's just the bottom line is get it checked out. That's the bottom line. Make sure
in advance. We've said that before.
Also, to talk about diet, like what they should eat, what they shouldn't eat, even though you eat what you want, and for the most part, stay away from Sabbaths and Hebrew National.
Yeah. Well, sure.
Only have them once a week, preferably on Shabbat.
Unless you get dragged.
And only have half.
And only have half.
Well, guys, this was terrific. I think you're doing an amazing job. And I think what you're doing is so important that there are going to be many people that are going to listen to your podcast. And thank you for saving their lives.
Well, we appreciate that.
We appreciate it. We really
we appreciate it. And as always, I love you. Can't wait to see you soon. Yep. And thanks for coming on. It was.
I newly love you. You're now my new mom.
Thank you.
Anthony,
that makes you my brother.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Again, I hope it helps someone.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.